All right, let's get into it. Today we're talking about something called APA-Pro, and it's all about building a totally new way to handle trust, especially for those big, important agreements. So let's dive right in.
But before we get into the nuts and bolts, I want you to think about this question for a second. What if a contract wasn't just a piece of paper? What if it could actually enforce itself? Like a program that just runs and makes sure everything happens the way it's supposed to, without needing lawyers or banks in the middle. Just keep that idea in your back pocket.
Okay, so Section 1, the high-stakes paper jam. And really, this gets to the heart of why something like this even needs to exist. You gotta understand the problem first, right? And the problem is this massive paper jam we're all stuck in. All that friction, all that risk, all the waiting around that comes with any major legal or financial deal.
And this slide? Yeah, this really spells it out. The old way, it's a mess. Think about it. Someone has to manually check everything. There are always arguments over payments. And if you ever need an audit, good luck trying to piece that puzzle back together. It's just chaos. It's like we're trying to run a digital economy on an old analog engine, and it's just grinding to a halt. Which brings us to part 2, a new trust architecture. This is the core idea here. We're moving from trust me to prove it. And look, APPRs isn't just another piece of software. It's a whole new kind of plumbing for our economy. It's built on a totally different idea, a whole new philosophy. It's not about taking someone's word for it anymore. It's about having undeniable proof. And this chart just lays it all out, plain and simple. On one side, you've got the trust me world. It's all about middlemen, personal promises, and what happens when it goes wrong? You have to sue them after the fact. It's totally reactive. But the prove it world, that's totally different. It's built on proof you can check, proof that can't be changed. So enforcement isn't reactive, it's proactive. The contract literally can't be broken. So all that friction and delay, gone, replaced with speed and pure automation. So this is the mantra. Proof first, sound money always. It's pretty simple, but it's everything. Proof first means you can't do anything until you can prove it's valid. And sound money always, that means this whole thing is backed by real stuff, not just numbers on a screen or some volatile asset. These two ideas, they're the pillars that hold the whole thing up. They're what takes the risk out of the equation. Okay, this is super important. We need to be crystal clear on what this thing is not. It is not a bank. It is not a broker or a marketplace. It is not a debt collector, and it's definitely not giving you investment advice. This is key. We're not talking about speculation here. We're talking about building fundamental infrastructure, the boring, reliable pipes for trust. All right, Section 3, the 3 layers of proof. So how does this all actually work under the hood? It's a great promise, provable trust, but how do they pull it off? Well, it's all about an architecture with 3 different layers, and they all work together. Let's peel them back one at a time. So at the very top, you've got the APP Pro platform itself. Think of it as the conductor of the orchestra. It's the workflow and execution engine. And here's the critical part. It's non-custodial. That means it never touches your money. It doesn't hold it. It doesn't control it. It just manages the process, kind of like a robot referee. It orchestrates the whole employ, verify, pay sequence. And it's even got an AI assistant working in the background, scanning documents and flagging risks before they become problems. Okay, go one layer deeper and you hit the notary chain. This is the authority layer. You can think of it as the official record book. It's a ledger that answers 3 simple but crucial questions. Who did what? Did they have the right to do it? And exactly when did they do it? And it answers them with, mathematical proof. This creates this rock-solid trail of evidence that's basically impossible to argue with in court. It stops disputes dead in their tracks. And all that evidence then flows into another part of the system, the legal rail, which handles all the settlement stuff. And then at the very bottom, the foundation of it all is something called the secure bank box. And I really like this description. It's a safe deposit box for legal truth. It's perfect. This is where all the real evidence lives. The actual documents, the logs, the payment proofs. They're all kept super secure off-chain, but their digital fingerprints, their hashes, are anchored on-chain. This gives you the best of both worlds, security and privacy for the data, but an unbreakable public record that proves it hasn't been tampered with. Now, this is probably one of the most important points. This whole system isn't just a runaway robot. There's a critical human in a loop. They call it the sovereign node, which is a civil law notary.
This is a real person, a legal professional who is personally liable, and their job is to certify the intent behind the contract, the animus. This makes sure that human law always stays in charge of the code. The principle is law over code. So this system isn't trying to replace human judgment. It's designed to empower it.
Okay, so on to Section 4, anchored in sound money. We've talked about the proof first part of the motto. Now let's talk about the sound money always part. Because look, a digital system is great, but for it to have real-world clout, it needs to be tied to something, well, real, something physical. And that anchor is exactly what you'd expect, physical gold and silver. It's vaulted by an organization called the United Precious Metals Association, or UPMA. This is what gives the system what's called zero counterparty risk. What does that mean? It means the value doesn't rely on some other company's promise or balance sheet. It's backed by actual physical metal. And this isn't just some gold sitting in a box, it's wrapped in serious layers of insurance. We're talking Lloyd's of London covering physical loss with another layer of reinsurance on top of that. It's a financial fortress. So, what happens when you mash these two things together? This incredible proof architecture and this rock-solid, fully insured physical backing. Well, you get something they call financial teleportation. And yeah, it sounds like sci-fi, but think about it. It means you can use the value of your gold in a vault in, say, Utah, to settle a deal in Tokyo, instantly, without ever selling the gold or putting it on a truck. You're teleporting its financial value. That's the game changer. And the way they pull this off is with a pretty clever tool from the world of DeFi called a flash loan. It sounds complicated, but the concept is simple. For just a few seconds, like 12 seconds, the system can borrow funds without collateral, use them to complete the transaction, and pay the loan back, all in one single indivisible step. And here's the magic trick. If any part of that process fails, the whole thing just vanishes. It reverts like it never even happened. It's an all or nothing deal. This means it can provide instant liquidity using the value of the gold, but the gold itself is never, ever at risk. Okay, so let's tie this all up. Section 5, the future of agreements. We've gone through the layers, the money, but what's the big picture? Why does an architecture like this actually matter? What does it really change for all of us?
Well, it boils down to three huge things. First, you get institutional legitimacy. This isn't some weird project. It's a system built on proof, backed by insured physical assets. Banks and regulators can actually wrap their heads around that. Second, you get proof-first finality. This means the value you intend to send is the exact value the other person receives. No games, no inflation eating it away. And finally, unstopped execution. Once the conditions are met, the payout just happens. It's automatic. It's unstoppable. It's just the outcome.
And really, this quote says it all. This is the whole ballgame. We're moving from a world based on "I promise to pay," which is full of risk and hope and uncertainty, to a world where payment is just the end of the story. An unstoppable, automated outcome that was guaranteed from the very beginning.
And this is the thought I want to leave you with. In a world where code is law, where it's unbreakable, who decides when that law is just plain wrong? Even with a human notary confirming the intent, what happens if the contract itself is flawed? That's a huge question, and the answer is going to define this next era of agreements. Thanks so much for tuning in.